I'm talented. It's fun now. But believe it or not, it can get annoying. And when you have a 2.5 or 3-year-old running around your house endlessly, playing this, and it has no volume control, there's a point in time when you just want the racket to stop. You want the noise to go away. You want to climb up on a mountain. Life is like that sometimes. I know. I've been there. One of our children, when he was 2.5, 3 years old, loved this thing unendingly, and every night would take it and run around the house, playing it without stopping, and singing and screaming. And one night, when I just thought I had had enough, he came flying around the corner, just absolutely top speed, top volume from the instrument and from the child. And I looked up, and I no longer heard the noise. I heard the music. I saw the music. Suddenly, his eyes, his face, his whole body were just radiant with joy. He was no longer just a happy boy, but rather had transformed into the very embodiment of happiness itself. When Jesus took Peter, James, and John up on that mountain, two things happened. First, he was transformed into the peace and the joy and the love that is God. And secondly, Peter, James, and John discovered their own ability to actually see the divine, to actually see the divinity. And that's where we come in. For we have that same ability. Theologians call it theophany, the ability to actually see and experience God directly. Moses experienced it on Sinai. Elijah on Mount Horeb. We have the story of Peter, James, and John experiencing it with Jesus. But it's really not all that uncommon. One study that looked at 488 different human societies identified that 90% of them are able to experience theophany. 90% of all human cultures are able to directly and personally see and experience the very presence of God. In our contemporary Western cultures, we struggle with that, especially here in our own. We struggle with it because we are too logical, too rational, too legalistic. Our minds shut out the spiritual and the mystic unless it's on our own terms. But we can do it. We could do it. We only need to see beyond the music, to open our minds, our hearts, and our spirits to the very real, radiant presence of God's love, joy, and peace on the faces of one another. To be able to see the very presence of God's radiance in the eyes of the person sitting next to us at dinner, working alongside of us during the day. Perhaps most importantly, to identify and recognize the face of God on the people sitting next to us when we gather here, right now. But to do it, we need to open ourselves up to that mystic possibility that God's presence is very real and very immediate. That mystical possibility that the seemingly ordinary really is extraordinary. That mystical possibility that sometimes God plays a purple banjo.